So you eat food, right? This is very silly question. We people eat food only. So we eat very delicious, tasty foods. Sometimes when we eat food, we get different taste. Where sour and bitter taste also we get in different kinds of food, right? Why is that different kind of food gives sour or bitter taste? Ever have you thought about that? Maybe if you remember in your previous classes, somewhere, sometime you have studied about the food items or something which you eat having sour or bitter taste, right? So this sour or bitter taste is only because of acid and base respectively. So the food which contain acid will give sour taste, for an example lemon, and then which will have a bitter taste, the food it is base. And today in this video we are going to know more about acid, base and salt. Namaskar, welcome back to Gyanayatri Rupraj, a journey for learning. So in today's video, we will first start with learning the acid and bases, and there we will see the different chemical properties of acid and base. First, we will start with understanding the chemical properties of acids and bases. Number 1. Acids and bases in the laboratory. In laboratory, acid and bases are present, and we use indicators to identify and differentiating between them. There are two types of indicators, natural and artificial. We will see few examples here. Let's see. First, litmus. There are two types of litmus paper, red litmus paper and blue litmus paper. First, we will use red litmus paper. Red litmus paper is dipped into acid and base. In acid, there will be no change in the color, but in base, the red litmus will change the color into blue. Hence, it helps in differentiating and identifying acid and base. Next, we will see using blue litmus paper. Blue litmus paper, when it is dipped into acid and base, in acid it will show change in color and it will become red, whereas there will be no change in color in base. Again, it also helps in identifying acid and base. Next indicator. Phenolphthalein. Phenolphthalein, when it is added on acid, it will show no change in color or colorless. When it is added on base, it will show change in color and it will become pink. Again, it helps in identifying acid and base. Next indicator, methyl orange. When methyl orange is added in the acid, it will show change in the color and it will become pink, whereas in the base it will become yellow. Again, proving the difference between acid and base. Let's summarize. Another chemical properties. Number 2. How do acids and bases react with metals? Here
with the help of experimental demonstration, we will see how metals react with acid and bases and what kind of product it forms. Let's see. Take a test tube and keep it on a stand and add dilute sulfuric acid and then add zinc on it. Close it with a rubber cork. Put a delivery tube and connect to a container which will have soap solution. Now this sulfuric acid reacts with zinc to produce salt and hydrogen gas which will come out of the delivery tube, and to confirm it, bring a lighting candle towards the bubbles and it will give a popping sound which will prove the presence of an acid. Let's see with an reactions. Properties. Number 3. How do metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates react with acids? Here again, with the help of an experimental demonstration, we will see how acid reacts with these metal carbonates or metal hydrogen carbonates and what kind of product it forms. Let's see. Take a test tube and connect to a stand and add dilute hydrochloric acid and then add sodium carbonate. Cover it with a cork, put delivery tube and crystal funnel. Now the reaction between dilute hydrochloric acid and sodium carbonate will produce salt, water and carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide will come from delivery tube and it goes to calcium hydroxide contained test tube. When it will react, the result will give calcium carbonate and water. Because of that, white precipitate will form. Now see the reactions. Next, chemical properties. Number 4. How do acids and bases react with each other? When both of them react with each other, what kind of product it forms? Let's see with the help of an experimental demonstration. Take a test tube, connect with a stand and keep acid on that test tube. Bring another test tube which contain base and add the base on the acid, and you will find changes and give result into salt and water. This reaction is also known as neutralization reaction. Let's see the reaction. Another chemical properties, reaction of metallic oxides with acid. What does the acid form when it reacts with metallic oxide? Let's see. Take a beaker, add a metal oxide and then put acid on it. When putting acid on it, it will show change in the color and forms salt and water. Here we have taken an example of reaction between copper oxide and hydrochloric acid. Now let's see the reactions. Another chemical properties. Reaction of non-metallic oxide with bases. Here we will see how bases reacts with non-metallic oxide, again with the help of experimental demonstration. Let's see. We have already seen this experiment previously in the acids when react with metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates. Here, when metal carbonates or metal hydrogen carbonates react with acid, it gives carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is non-metallic oxide. When this non-metallic oxide reacts with calcium hydroxide, which is a base, then it gives salt and water. So, let's see the reaction.
You have seen the different chemical properties of acid and base. These chemical properties helps in identifying which one is acid and which one is base. For an example, in the first experimental, you have seen the role of indicators in identifying acid and base. In the second one, you have seen how acid, when it react with metal, or base even react with metal, it produce always salt and hydrogen gas. Even when the acid react with metal carbonates or metal hydrogen carbonates, it always produce salt, water, carbon dioxide. And from there we can confirm if it is releasing salt, water, carbon dioxide, that it is an acid. When when base and acid reacts, it produces salt and water, right? So these experiments which we have seen, all these experiments gives us the properties, and this is what we call chemical properties, and helps us to identify which one is acid and which one is base. So we will continue this chapter in the next video, where we will see what does this acid and base in common, right? And we will learn more on what is pH and what are the importance of the pH. Till then, thank you. Namaskar.